What is going on, everybody? I am back today to talk about a brand new horror film that is releasing this weekend that I was able to go to an early access screening of and check out. I was actually very excited to check this movie out because this is based on a series of books from author Adam Cesare, and I am a huge fan of this book series. I've read all three, they're fantastically well done. I'd highly recommend checking out Adam's work if you get an opportunity to. Really awesome guy. He writes really great horror, and Clown in a Cornfield has really got what got me interested in his work. And whenever you go into a book to movie adaptation, you always have your hesitations because, you only get such a limited amount of time to tell a story. And one of the things that's so special about Clown in a Cornfield is the character writing. There's really rich, well-written characters amidst the really fantastic horror, which is what makes the series a very fun read. And so I went into this hoping that it would live up to the hype that a lot of people have been giving it around the festival circuits, and I'm excited to tell you about Clown in a Cornfield today. Clown in a Cornfield is directed by Eli Craig. Quinn and her father have just moved to the quiet town of Kettle Springs, hoping for a fresh start. Instead, she discovers a fractured community that has fallen on hard times after the treasured Bay Pen corn syrup factory burned down. As the locals bicker amongst themselves and tensions boil over, a sinister, grinning figure emerges from the cornfields to cleanse the town of its burden, one bloody victim at a time. So I was very excited to watch this. Obviously, as I said before, I am a huge fan of this book series, and I was really hoping that I would enjoy this. And this blew away every single one of my expectations. This is one of my favorite slasher films I've watched in the past couple of years because although it hits a lot of the tropes that exist in modern slasher movies, what I really appreciate about this movie is the attention to detail in the character writing, the approach to certain kills in the movie, the building of atmosphere, the way information is revealed. It's just handled very well. And what I like is they make some changes with the book. They obviously can't do everything exactly the same way. There's not the same level of character writing, but I feel like everything that makes the book special and everything that's important to the book is included in this to make it a great experience for all audiences, even if you haven't read the source material. And I'm looking forward to telling you a little bit about it today. So at the beginning of the movie, we are introduced to Quinn Maybrook, played by Katie Douglas, and her father, Glenn Maybrook, played by Aaron Abrams. And they are driving together to the town of Kettle Springs, which is in the middle of nowhere. And we learned that Quinn and her father come from the big city. There was a tragedy in their lives that caused them to want to move. Her father is a doctor, and this town needed a doctor there, so he took the job coming to this town. And immediately upon arriving, Quinn notices that the community is very strange. The elderly people in the community act very weird. The town seems to be dated back to the 90s, like it doesn't seem like anyone's escaped that. And there's this looming factory that sits in the middle of the community, which is the Bay Pen corn syrup factory. And we learn early on the factory has burnt down. There was speculation to who burnt the factory down, and a lot of people in the community lost their jobs, and there's a lot of hurt amongst the community. And so early on, Quinn is just trying to find her way at school, and she meets this large group of kids, and the group is led up by Cole, who his father is the heir to the Bay Pen corn syrup empire. And so he is well known in the community, but he's not necessarily close to his father, and he seems to act out quite a bit. And early in the film, we're introduced to this large group of kids that hang out. We're also introduced to Rust, who seems to be kind of your stereotypical country kid, but not really. There seems to be a lot more to him underneath the surface. He warns Quinn to stay away from that group of kids that she hangs out with. Well, she doesn't pay any attention to him, and they hang out, and amidst hanging out, they start noticing the clown mascot from Bay Pen showing up all around the community until that clown starts killing people off one by one. And the entirety of the film is Quinn and her group of friends trying to figure out who is this clown and why are they on this killing rampage. So, like I said, I loved this. I did not expect to love this as much as I actually did, but it is so fantastically done. And after looking at who directed it, Eli Craig, who also directed Tucker and Dale versus Evil, which is another fantastic horror comedy film. It's no surprise as to why. For starters, I want to talk about the performances in this movie, though. I really enjoyed all of the performances in this movie, even like the characters that are playing into like the heavy stereotypes, like the typical jock and all of those different things, like the preppier girl. They do a really nice job playing into it where it pays off in a satisfying way. A lot of times that can come across as really irritating, but in this movie in particular, I just felt like it was handled really well, that the comedic beats landed in a way that I felt was very satisfying. Katie Douglas, who plays Quinn Maybrook, is really what makes this movie shine. I really liked her character a lot, and reading the book, seeing Quinn kind of grow as a character through 3 books at this point, she does the character justice. I really like that you can kind of feel her lived experience, a kid being pulled out of this community, that all her friends were there. She's kind of being moved into the middle of nowhere. She's had this tragedy in her life, and there's just so much baggage that she's carrying with her. And I feel like the way she interacts with people and like how her character grows throughout the movie, she just does a really fantastic job. Some really clever one-liners throughout the movie. I feel like she just really commanded the screen whenever she was on it, and I really appreciated her performance a lot. And then Aaron Abrams, who plays her father, also does a phenomenal job in this movie. And I feel like the crux of this film, really kind of the central core focus above everything else, is this relationship between father and daughter. And if it didn't feel as natural as it did, it probably would come across as a little hokey, but their relationship feels very real. All the time that they're together on screen, I just found it to be very believable, and they just really worked well together. And like I said, everybody else in this movie does a really fantastic job, but those two were really the standouts for me. As far as cinematography goes, I thought that the cinematographer did a nice job working with the production crew to create a really solid atmosphere. This town needs to feel old, dilapidated, and like, you know, it's just the people who have lived there for forever are the only ones that are left. And there's so much attention to detail and care in the production design and all of the different settings here, whether it's the high school, the abandoned factory, the barn that these kids are having a party at, the house that Quinn and her dad move into. I really appreciated all the time and care that kind of made this environment feel alive, because whenever you read a book, you kind of like piece things together in your mind. But I really feel like they did a nice job bringing this environment to life, which is another thing that I really like. I also love the look of the Friendo masks. There's like this, you can really see it as like a dated mascot. Like it has a menacing quality to it, but you can see kind of where a company would go for it in this specific time period when the factory was created, and how it's become essentially this icon in this community. I loved that a lot. The kills in this are incredibly gnarly and creative, and what I like is they don't shy away from showing the gore and some of the nastier things that happen in this film. A lot of problems I've had with modern day slashers is a lot of cutaways, and there's a couple in this movie, but for the most part you are getting the violence in full force, and that's no surprise from the director of Tucker and Dale versus Evil, who literally showcased the violence in the most grotesque way imaginable. And I really liked that a lot about this movie as well. I think if you're going to showcase the violence, do it all out, and that's what's really great. And this movie, it's really interesting. I don't want to go into spoiler territory. I don't want to ruin anything for you, but I think what this film is symbolic of when it comes to old, outdated ideology versus like young people and more progressive ideologies, I think what the book tries to convey and also what the movie is trying to convey is incredibly relevant to the times that we're living in now. And that was really cool to see in a modern slasher, where you have like, you can just turn your brain off and enjoy it as an hour and a half slasher movie and have fun with it. But I think the substance that's incorporated with what's actually going on, it really hits hard when you think about the current state of things in the United States of America. And I really liked that a lot about the movie as well. But I think it's very enjoyable. If you like slasher movies, even though there's things that you've seen before, there is enough here that you're going to find yourself being incredibly entertained, and you'll have a really fun time at the movies if you check out Clown in a Cornfield. So have you seen Clown in a Cornfield? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Leave me a comment down below and let me know what you thought. I thought this movie was incredibly entertaining. It was way better than I ever would have expected, and I'm actually really excited to watch it again. As always, if you can like the video and subscribe to the channel, helps me out a lot. Lets me know the type of content you're looking for. I'm always putting out new material and look forward to getting more out for you in the near future. And as always, everyone, thank you so much for watching, and have a great rest of your day.